Okay, thanks and welcome back again. I gave my little intro earlier when we talked about the supply chain of now, but today we're delving into a conversation of green and sustainable supply chain with the focus on the energy sector. My guest is Dr. Obiora Madu, Director General of the Africa Center for Supply Chain, who will be, giving us clarity on some of this topic. Dr. Obiora, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
All right. I don't know if you can hear me. If you can confirm you can hear me clearly.
Very well.
All right. Thank you, sir, and welcome to the program. So, sir, quickly, we'll just deep dive into the conversation. We know we've taken a little bit of your time, and before we could kickstart the program. But quickly, sir, when we talk about green and sustainable supply chain, or when we look at green and sustainability in the supply chain sector, when we look at the energy sector itself, as in regards to supply chain side, could you break it down for us clearly when we say sustainability and supply chain in one word? What are we really saying, sir?
Well, green and sustainable supply chain, it can be green and sustainable logistics, it can be green and sustainable procurement, whichever way you look at it, the entire supply chain needs to be green and sustainable. Now, what are we talking about here? We're talking about integrated ESG, environmental, social, and governance structures for supply chain. Now, the whole essence of sustainability is actually to try to leave the earth. If we can't leave it better than we met it, let us at least leave it the way we met it for other people who will come on board. So right now in procurement, in the entire supply chain, ESG is a major concern. Suppliers will have to meet it to be able to supply to major companies. At the same time, major companies, once it is observed that you are not complying to ESG and other sustainability issues, you will be in trouble. You will not be able to sell. Purchases are being made these days on the basis of the company's compliance to sustainability issues. So it's no longer when they looked at sustainability as a cost. Right now, if you are compliant, you actually have a competitive advantage because a lot of people, when people who want to buy your product will say, they want to come to your country. They want to view your factory. They want to know what is going on in your factory. They want to know about the salary of your workers. They want to know whether you are hurting the earth one way or the other. So all this, but the fact is, as a company, the process, take care of the people who are working with you. Make sure you don't hurt the planet. So basically, that is it. And earlier on, it was like it's not really much of a challenge in Africa. It's in Europe, it's elsewhere. But the ozone layer has is not compartmentalized. So the thing has reached Africa, and African companies and their supply chains will have to comply to sustainability.
So Doc, when we look at this and look at the energy sector, how do we narrow this down to the sector in itself to ensure that this best practice, as you have just described, can be complied with? I don't know if you know what's happening within the energy sector that gives you confidence that they are also towing in this direction when we talk about procurement, logistics, and the entire supply chain itself.
I think the oil and gas industry, because of their level of operations and the rest of them, were actually in the league of the first set of people that started it. You see, for example, it cuts across the end-to-end supply chain. For oil and gas, it starts from the drilling. It gets to refining. It gets to logistics and transport. And a whole lot of other things, including local content, and then staff attention to the people who work for you. So for local content, of course, we have NCDMB, and the oil and gas is not, they are doing very well in that very, very particular area. So the confidence is that the oil and gas industry is very structured, it's also regulated, and it's a big operations, and they do not play with issues of that has to do with sustainability. So the confidence is there. I mean, for oil and gas, it's even better there. But confidence of compliance is better there than for most of the other industries that are coming up.
All right, sir. So, Doc, we know you just had your conference, your maiden conference at the Africa Center for Supply Chain, which, of course, the conversation was centered around the supply chain of now. Tell us a little bit about that conference, really, and how can we maintain this best practice? You talked about your confidence in the energy sector, already taking the lead on some of these things. How do we sustain it already if we have confidence that they are keeping to it? Are you assured of sustainability in this direction for the energy sector? Or what do you see that might be changing? And tell us a bit about the conference that just happened.
Okay, starting from the conference, the theme of the conference was supply chain of now. Why of now? Because the supply chain of yesterday cannot lead us for tomorrow. So what it means is that we have to do something now about the supply chain. So everything was centered around social impact, around sustainability, and of course, profitability for companies. So it was packed. It was a 4-panel. We had 4 panel sessions, very, very knowledgeable speakers, and the rest of them. And every attendee was very happy that he was there. So now about how do we ensure sustainability? First of all, on the environmental side, a couple of years back, we didn't have anything called NESRA. At the time that waste was dropped in cocoa and the rest of them, there was nothing called NESRA. So NESRA is doing a whole lot, looking at environment, making sure that people are not hurting the environment so much. And so many companies are actually going green. Recently, Dangote just brought in how many thousand trucks? That is
4,000
electric trucks,
CNG trucks,
4,000 LNG CNG truck. So the issue is, so that is an example of what is going on. So many companies like Lafarge and so many other companies are bringing in. While you were at the conference, you saw the Edger Ice tricycle. The Edger Ice tricycle is powered by, it's electric powered, and then the entire body of the tricycle is covered by what do they call it, solar panels. And then inside you have a very cool environment where a whole lot of things can be stored. Cold, actually, not even cool. So a whole lot of things. You see, unless we are aware, unless we find out, we will not know that a whole lot will happen. I must tell you myself that I was shocked with that Edger Ice, this thing that I saw. And African Center for Supply Chain is willing to promote them going further. So regulation, it has to be self-regulated. When you know that it will be giving you a disadvantage, it will be bringing disadvantage to, nobody will beg you to comply to it. But of course, there are regulatory agencies for different types of issues in sustainability that are doing their own here and there. But the fact is that companies on their own are already doing whatever they can to ensure that they comply with sustainability issues. Apart from any other thing, it gives you a competitive advantage. I'll
Thank
give
you,
you an
Doc.
example.
Okay,
If
go
you
on,
are
sir.
trying to export, if you are trying to export wood from Nigeria to certain parts of Europe, they will want you to bring a certificate that shows that the wood you are exporting to them was extracted from an area that is designated for export.
Mm.
So tell me how you want to escape that kind of this thing. So same thing, all this organic and all that certifications here and there are forcing people to actually comply to sustainability issues.
Mm. So, but Doc, if we narrow this down to again the energy sector now, are there policies that gives you confidence that even players who are coming in today into the energy space, when we talk about procurement, logistics, and supply chain in itself, they are able to bend to compliance? Are there certain policies? Because if there's no policy to guide, I don't know, you've been in this sector for quite a long time, at least the last 30 years, so you've seen much more than some of us. What are some of the things that you see that have taken us a journey to get here, policy-wise, regulation-wise, to ensure that we are making this full transition to green and sustainability when we talk about procurement, logistics, and supply chain itself, especially within the energy sector?
Well, I think what I can say about that is that, for example, ESG is a consideration when you want to mount any project, when you are doing feasibility study and everything. So that is a way. But about whether there's any policy in place, apart from the NESRA and the policies it have towards this, we have Ministry of Labor who are supposed to actually be looking at the company policies concerning how they handle their people. Because what the one thing I'm sure you had continuously at the conference was the people, the planet, and the profit. As a company, yes, you are allowed to make profit, but in the process, don't hurt the planet. And also make sure that you take care of the people who are working with you. I can't see clearly policies in this direction because, first of all, the understanding at the policy-making level about what supply chain is all about is slim, very, very slim. So but whatever it is we can do better. And the one way we will start is to get the policymakers to actually understand and appreciate the importance of supply chain and the contributions it can make, particularly in the area of sustainability.
I mean, the Africa Center for Supply Chain, I mean, since 2011, you've been doing quite a lot of work. With this gap that you've just mentioned now, what are the plans to sort of fill in the gap or be able to provide solution within this gap that you just mentioned in your last statement?
Well, one thing that came out clearly from the last conference was that the people are very, very important.
Okay.
And then the three pillars of African Center for Supply Chain is about education, it's about research, and it's about networking. So the education side of African Center for Supply Chain builds capacity, because if you have people who have capacity, you can plan strategies and execute them. But if you have people who do not have capacity, all your plans will fail. So that is one way where we are. Then on the research side, for 7 years running, we have been publishing Nigerian Logistics and Supply Chain Industry Report. That report is available. It's been helping foreigners who want to invest, policymakers, the academia, and the rest of them. That's another way we are bridging. We have actually published one of the reports on the sustainability on AFTA, on blue economy, and others. So the research aspect is also covering it. So I think as a center, that is where our own. Then, of course, advocacy. We do a lot of advocacy towards policy making and the rest of them. For example, like if you ask us what percentage of our GDP is made up of logistics and logistics activities, you will not get the correct information. So in a recent research with NITT, we took a look at it and then found out a major bias that Nigerian Bureau for Statistics figure talks only about the corporate logistics that happens, which you can easily reach. But the informal logistics that happens, the figures are probably bigger than that of the formal logistics. So you cannot tell. And that information is very important in planning. So that was a contribution that could help in that direction. So that's that. We'll just, 7 consistent years we'll publish every year. So, and it's available. So that's, I think that's a fair contribution also from an industry point of view.
All right, Doc, thank you so much. We'll go on a quick break. And when we come back, I have a few more questions for Doc, especially are there other countries that are getting this right that Nigeria could look at when we talk about green and sustainability in procurement and the entire value chain of supply chain itself? So stay with me. We'll go on this quick break. When we come back, I'll take Doc on a few questions. All right, thank you for staying with me. This is still the Energy Outlook Live. My name is Wisdom Chap Jumbo. We're talking to you live from Lagos, Nigeria. Yes, we've been discussing green and sustainable procurement with focus on the energy sector in itself. I have my guest here with me, who is Director General of the African Center for Supply Chain. With over 30 years in the industry, Dr. Obiora Madu, which is best, people call him the father of supply chain, is best described to have the requisite knowledge and expertise to talk to us about supply chain. And it's such a pleasure to have him on the program. Dr. Obiora, back to you now. Like I said, my question before was going to look at other countries probably that are getting this right when we talk about green and sustainable supply chain. Compared to markets like the UK, and other market areas also. Are there other examples from countries that you see that Nigeria could, prepare to emulate, when we talk about green and sustainable supply chain or procurement itself?
Well, it's not about pretending. We'll talk about emulating. That is, if there are people who are doing better than you, the only thing you will do is to emulate. Yeah, if you are looking at Africa, of course, we can't. The only thing we can do against the Europeans and elsewhere is to benchmark and then start working towards. But if we're looking at those who can emulate, if we look at it from African point of view, there are countries that have made some advances in this area, like South Africa, Egypt. I think Kenya to some extent, and these countries are mentioned have very solid policy in that direction, and also the regulatory oversight to ensure that those things are right. So we need to come up with policies, strong policies, as regards sustainability in the supply chain. Without even such oversights, so many companies are going green in Nigeria. I mean, we listen to a lot of stories, and the advice is actually that we should start going green right from our house. So, but for the oil and gas, if you're rating sustainability in oil and gas, I think Nigeria is not doing badly. But the other sectors, there are African countries we need to learn from or emulate, and I've mentioned a few of them.
Doc, the major part of going green is, fully adapting to the energy transition. We see that the
Yes.
wave of renewable energy and solar and all of that. I don't know if for example, if you have solar or if you use solar yourself, but we see that there seems to be a growing surge and adoption is fast going. But I don't know if there are members of your center who play a lot around this renewable energy space and solar off-grid space, and what you're seeing that are pretty much very encouraging when we look at going green in the area of procurement, logistics, in this space, sort of. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. If what you're seeing happening within this scope of transition, going green and renewable energy with solar.
Within African Center for Supply Chain, we have solid experts. The first black president of CIPS is a Nigerian. He's a fellow of the African Center for Supply Chain. So a lot of capacity building is happening in that very particular direction. Like after the conference, the Edger Ice Company is joining African Center for Supply Chain to see how we can assist her. Then, of course, individually, we're also doing quite a lot. We listen to what Solomon said at the conference, what he has done with it. All of us are using solar. I use in my house, and the rest of, and then, of course, even Aso Rock is already installing solar panels and trying to use alternative energy. So yes, it's an area we're actually going to be publishing a report in shortly, because it's a growing area. It's even becoming less expensive for people. But with the news you gave about scrapping the bans, probably it will delay some people from joining, but it has become a major source of power right now. And the African Center for Supply Chain is looking at it, and it will publish a report on that and pointing out strategies to go forward and the benefits, and also help government with more policies along that line.
Mm-hmm. All right, I like that, and we would like to follow up on that report. Me, for one, I would really want to look at that report and see what the center is going to really publish around what's happening within the renewable energy. We also see that broadly the energy sector, CNG and the likes of that is growing rapidly, and the use of LPG also is indeed, which is the cooking gas, growing vast. I don't know, Doc, if around some of this, what you see, what are your predictions if we look at how CNG is growing for our vehicles and being the alternative fuel? What are some of the predictions you're looking at when we talk about logistics itself, procurement, because supply chain is critical to how we move from one point to another within the energy sector itself. So are there predictions you're looking at when we see how CNG is fast growing, which will speak solidly to this issue of going green and sustainability itself? Are there any predictions from you, Doc?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm being heard, but I think the predictions will be around refills, how to refill, locations for refills, so that you do not create a lot of queues, because a lot more interest will be heading in that direction. And the other thing is the technical side of it, because we've had explosions. It is expected that a lot more investments need to go into that very particular area of the CNG to be able to have proper setup facilities, because right now you probably have some quacks who claim to have authority. In fact, there should be regulations to smoke those kind of people out of the system to avoid further explosions in the future. I see more people moving in that direction. I see more people moving in that direction, and at the end of the day, I think the renewable energy will take over, because you can see that we are beginning to pay less emphasis in oil. Even Nigeria is beginning to pay less emphasis on revenue from oil and looking for revenue everywhere else but from oil, because we clearly know that in the future, that's why we are the ones selling fossil fuel. Then we are the one also investing in renewable energy. So we know the direction where we're going. So that's what I see that will happen in the future for all industries. The vehicles, 4,000 trucks is not a joke. And there's so many other companies are doing the same. So it will become a norm very soon. We'll also carbon for cash and the other incentives that is attached to those.
So, so you're really good to also support that conversation on incentives if we want things to move a bit faster, if we want people to adopt, what we're all saying around green and sustainability. You also advise some incentives by government. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't hear you.
No, you were talking about incentives, sir. So I'm saying that, are you also one of those supporting the whole idea of incentives by government if we want to see that some of these ideas around transition moves a bit faster?
Yeah, it would be a good idea for government to come in with some incentives for people, but there are also incentives that are available already, like carbon for cash and other these things that are in the market that people can take advantage of. Of course, if government want more people in that very particular area, incentives will do a lot of good in pushing people towards that very particular direction. Yes, I support that.
Amazing. As we wrap up, my final question, Doc, will be that beyond compliance, which we have been discussing, how can adopting green procurement strengthen a company's competitiveness and improve investor and stakeholder confidence? Beyond compliance now, let's look at how, adopting it as a company, how will it strengthen the company's competitiveness? Many have said this could be a thing or advantage for them. Do you agree, Prof?
Yeah, of course. I did mention some of them earlier on. For example, right now, ESG is embedded in everything that a company, even if you're about to start a project and writing feasibility study, it has to be very, very clearly spelled out. So one of the reasons why companies must adopt it is that it's becoming a source for competitive advantage. It is no longer a wasted cost as people used to look at it. So adopting it also means a lot of planning within. And then you also have to be seen. I'll give you an example. The UN wanted to buy tiles, and the one in Italy had a lower price. The one in Spain had a higher price. But when they investigated, obviously, the one in Spain, in spite of the price, was compliant. And that compliance, it was compliant, but of course, that is as a result of activities within the company. And the company was building for competitive advantage. So because of that, and because the other company from Italy didn't have, was not seen to be compliant with, they lost the business. They bought the tiles from the guy from Spain with a higher price. So the same thing is happening to, that's why you see every year, particularly in the oil and gas, because I know I've done that for about for 2 companies several times. Now you have to get your suppliers to be compliant, because that's where the challenge starts. If your suppliers are not compliant, investors will not be interested in putting money in your business because they don't want to get involved. So for about 3 years, at the end of the year, they bring their suppliers together. We spoke to them on sustainability of supply chain as contractors of those oil companies. So that's how to build it. Once you are known or you are seen also, because there are records to show, obviously investors will be interested. Apart from investors, people who do business with you will trust you. It will create more partnership for you, give you global competitive advantage, and a host of other things. So that's why you see that right now, a lot of people are working hard within the organizations to ensure that they are compliant with the regulations that are there as far as sustainability is concerned.
Dr. Obiora Madu, Director General, African Center for Supply Chain. It's such a pleasure to chat with you, sir. Thank you for making out the time to be on the program. I did enjoy your insights always. Every time I get to listen to you, and your knowledge and vast experience really is a blessing to us as a country, as a people. And we did say thank you so much, sir, for making time to be with us on the Energy Outlook. We'll be keeping track and tabs with the African Center for Supply Chain, as we are very interested to see how a lot traction is happening within the energy sector when we talk about going green and sustainability in our procurement, procedures, and of course broadening that to local content and how that is shaping the energy sector. We're particularly interested in some of those conversations. I will be following the center to see how we can, of course, keep the conversation going. But it's such a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for making time or obliging us your time this evening. And of course, apologies that we started a bit late. I didn't want to keep you waiting so much. But indeed, thank you so much, sir, for your time. All right, that's all we have for you on the program today. Same time, same station. We want to see you next week. Stay with us. Of course, if you miss all the previous episodes, you can watch a replay on our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. And you can follow me on social media. My name is Wisdom Chap Jumbo at WChap Jumbo across all social media platforms. I will keep the conversation going. It doesn't stop here online. But make sure, of course, to subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch all episodes, of course, on the channel as you wish. Same time, same station, next week. Stay with me. Have a lovely Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light from my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.